One of the largest airlines you've probably never heard of, Envoy Air, operates more than 700 flights daily, and get this, employs over 19,300 employees across North America. As a subsidiary of American Airlines Group, they're committed to excellence, and that includes recruiting and hiring military vets.
Hi, I'm Captain Rick Wilson, Vice President of Flight Operations at Envoy Air. We're here today in my office at Envoy Headquarters, campus of all our administrative and flight and training facilities. I'm responsible for all flight operations, for the safety and efficiency of those operations for Envoy Air, which is 1,000 daily flights across the country, Canada, Mexico, and down into the Caribbean and tip of South America. Operations entail everything from initial flight training as we onboard new pilots to recurrent flight training, as well as all the technical support for flight operations, liaisoning with the FAA, with the airplane manufacturer, with all the other departments within the company. The reason I believe that hiring veterans is great for the company business is the skills that are learned in the military service directly translate to everything that you need to be successful in commercial aviation. And we can't forget that the birth of commercial aviation came from the military.
I'm Tiana Lofberg, the manager of payroll automation at Envoy Air. My teams handle the payroll for domestic employees as well as the configuration of our timekeeping system for ground. I didn't come from a family background or history of the military, but it was always on my heart to support the troops, and I thought what better way than to join and serve the U.S. Navy. I served 4 years with the Navy as an aviation electrician's mate, where I worked on electrical systems on the F-18 Foxtrots. I also worked as my squadron as a troubleshooter, doing final checks on the aircraft prior to flight. My squadron was attached to the aircraft carrier, the Carl Vinson. I was deployed with my squadron in support of Operation Enduring Freedom off of the coast of Afghanistan. I decided to leave the Navy because I was ready to settle down, get married and have a family, and I didn't want to do that as active duty. When I got out, I knew I wanted to stay aviation. The industry has always been fascinating from my days with the Navy. So I really just looked around for different jobs and different companies and did a lot of research on what companies I wanted to work for. And I also thought it was important that I started at a company that I can build and grow with. And so I applied, and luckily I was able to be welcome aboard on Envoy.
My name is James Ferguson, and I'm an aircraft maintenance technician with Envoy Air. I joined the Army for a couple of different reasons. One, I have family history with it. The second was I've always wanted to work on aircraft. So I joined the Army as a UH-60 helicopter mechanic, and I was able to serve almost 13 years in the Army active duty while working on helicopters my entire time. When I had to transition from the military life to the civilian life, it was not easy. We were really starting to have a lot of struggles, myself more mentally than physically, with having to get into a new mindset and having to find my new purpose. I found out about Envoy through a friend of mine who is now a coworker. He works here, and he told me about the MTP, which is the Military Transition Program. It was a program where the company was able to fly me down to Dallas and pay for all of my testing and the oral and practical evaluations I needed to get my airframe and power plant certifications and become a maintenance tech with this company.
I'm Susan Ramey, and I'm an aircraft maintenance technician for Envoy Air. I joined the Army in 2007. I was kind of following in my dad's footsteps. He worked on Hueys in the Army. I kind of went the Black Hawk route, so we both worked on helicopters. I did about 4 years, mainly stationed at Fort Hood, did a 15-month tour in Iraq. So after I left the military, I kind of jumped jobs a little bit, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, figure out my purpose. I realized that that wasn't going to sustain my family, so I went ahead and pursued my bachelor's degree in business. After getting that, I realized I really miss mechanics, and I was talking to my stepmother, and she is also an airline mechanic. She suggested, why don't you look at the airlines and see what kind of programs they offered. So that day I found Envoy's military transition program, and I went ahead and applied, got my MP license, and started on the job pretty much the same day after getting it. The Army helped prepare me for Envoy by helping me learn how to work in a team and how to communicate and get the mission accomplished.
Eric Colter, First Officer for Envoy Air here in Dallas-Fort Worth. We're here in one of our flight simulator buildings where we come for initial training and then for recurrent training annually. I joined the U.S. Air Force in 2002 and wanted to fly airplanes. Was fortunate enough to go fly initially C-130s in mobility. So I deployed 3 times to the Iraqi theater of operations and then twice to Afghanistan. Then moved over to the special operations side of things. Left active duty in 2015 after 13 years. Was starting to have a family, had a newborn, and just wanted to have a little bit more stable life. I had friends that worked at Envoy, and talking to them, they had a lot of positive things to say, both about the training program and about kind of the lifestyle, and so it made it a really easy choice to come to Envoy.
I'm Carol Dow. I'm a captain at Envoy Airlines. So we are currently located in an Envoy trainer, a 175 mock-up of the aircraft that we use. It's used for both pilots and flight attendants, mostly for the flight attendants to do their in-flight services, but for the pilots we use it to know where the safety equipment is and for evacuation purposes. I was commissioned in the Army in 1983 as a sophomore in college. I went all the way through and joined the Transportation Corps with the Army in 1986. Learned all about transportation, trucks, boats, airplanes, and how to load them, how to manage them. I was an officer during that time frame, still am. Actually, I have 1 month to go before I retire. So it's been 20 years that I've been in the military. Flying and transportation is primarily a man's world. Envoy Air, they have always pushed to try to get the best out of us. They push for merit, regardless of whether you are a woman or whether you are black or whether you are Hispanic. It's kind of nice because they don't look at you as a woman. They look at you as, can you do the job?
Envoy Air has daily flights to over 160 destinations across North America, so there's always positions available, such as maintenance technician, customer service, flight attendant, and pilots for dedicated veterans looking for a rewarding career in aviation.
Aviation, it's a great career path. Veterans should consider a career here at Envoy. We have many opportunities, not just for pilots on the flight deck. We're able to provide flexible scheduling and military leave to support your activities, either as an active or a reserve service member.
Vets bring to the table a work ethic that is generally unmatched in the current population. The important thing is coming to work on time, coming to work in uniform, and coming to work prepared.
What I enjoy about working at Envoy really is the amount of growth and opportunities, and leadership really does their best to try and encourage you to find those opportunities.
So I think veterans should consider Envoy. It's almost like an extension of the military. It's like a family.
I think one of the ways that Envoy shows how they care about their veterans is through something like the military transition program. Not only set them up for success with the company, but set them up for success in life.